Hi, RAM fans. This is Miley Martin from Student Activities at Fresno City College. And today we have our final RAM 30 episode for Series 1. But we're ending on a high note with an accomplished alum who is an advocate for the most vulnerable in our community. Please welcome Rabiah Rahman. Rabiah,
Hi,
so
Ron.
good to see you.
So good to see you as well, Miley. It's been too long.
Oh, it has been too long. Let's see. You've accomplished a lot since I've seen you last, and you have a successful law firm in Ventura. Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you.
Now, you've always been such a strong leader. So I want to start off by asking you what motivated you to become an attorney, and what words of advice can you share with young women looking to follow your footsteps?
So I'm going to answer that question, but in reverse.
Okay, yeah, whatever way you
My first bit of advice is to chart your own path, not to follow in someone else's footsteps. I think, particularly for me, you're familiar with a little bit of my background, but I didn't have a lot of role models growing up. And so everything was new and uncharted territory for me. And so I had to kind of look inward to kind of find that inner motivation, inspiration. And I'm also a student of history. And so I made I conjured up my mentor and inspiration through the life of Barbara Jordan, who was one of the first African-American congresswomen from the South, and she was a lawyer. And so I said, okay, lawyers make things happen. So I want to be a lawyer too. And so that was the initial seed that was planted when I was maybe, I don't know, I was in second or third grade. I forget how old I was, but that was the initial motivation. And then how to make that come about, I had to figure that out as I went along. So I think I would say to somebody who is interested in being a lawyer, who doesn't come from a family of lawyers or have lawyers in their immediate social circles or professional circles, I would say to find that internal inspiration and motivation and reason and purpose, and then chart your own path. I think that's where the beauty comes in, is when you discover what you love about yourself and how it contributes to your purpose.
Awesome. Well, you've always been such a solid and determined young woman. I mean, I remember you in ASG and doing a lot of things. Where does that inner strength come from? I mean, how can young women learn to be more confident and learn to put themselves first?
I think by putting themselves first. Like that's probably not the best answer, but I think again it comes from within. You have to do that internal work. You have to believe in yourself. You have to tell yourself that you believe in yourself if necessary. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, because there will be moments where you don't have the strength and the ability to believe in yourself or the confidence. And so you need to surround yourself with people who believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself. And so for me, that has been my saving grace, is by having those people in your life who can, really give you that external validation and support that I think, sometimes we don't have in our lives, particularly when you come from a marginalized background or you come from an environment that is kind of unforgiving of, missteps or unsuccessful acts of courage. And then you start to doubt yourself and you start to erode your confidence. And so you need that external validation, certainly on occasion, but the more work you do internally and the more that you can conjure that internal confidence up, for yourself and be your own cheerleader, I think that is the best advice I can give to somebody, is to really do that internal work to build your confidence. Because I mean, it's a journey, Miley. It's a journey,
Yes.
and it's habitual practice. You don't stop. So yeah.
So let's talk about your law firm. What is it called? How long have you been in practice? And tell us a little bit about that. That's exciting.
I think you're gonna get a kick out of this.
Okay. Okay.
Because, okay, Miley. So when I was thinking about naming my law firm, I was, oh, Rahman, attorney at law, Rahman, attorney at law, or, like what I want, Rahman law firm, or what I wanted to call it. And so I was thinking about like what I want to be known as. And so I was like, you know what? I want to be one namer like Beyonce and Oprah. Like they're on my vision board. And so I said, Rabiah at law. And so
Love it.
my firm is
I
Rabiah
love
at
it.
and I exclusively represent employees in employment matters. And so I try to informally, but if we have to file, I'll only ever represent an employee in litigation where we actually file a lawsuit and bring your case forward. I represent employees in employment discrimination, workplace discrimination, harassment, both sexual harassment as well as all of the other protected categories. And I also represent employees in wage disputes when they're not being paid all of their wages or paid properly or properly classified. I think right now we see in the news a lot about the Uber and Lyft and the gig economy. That's all employment law. And it's whether or not they're properly classified as independent contractors or employees, and then what the legal ramifications are for misclassifying somebody. So we have a lot of laws on the books in California. And I know a lot of business owners say that it's not business friendly, but I do think that our legislator, takes these issues very seriously, and businesses are also protected. And so I am, proud of the laws we have on the books, the protections we have for employees, but I'm also proud of the protections we have for employers, because I'm now a small business owner with my law firm, and as I bring on employees, that's going to be an additional consideration I have. So, that's my general practice in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, you clearly have a passion for social justice issues, and you just shared with us your focus. What was the motivation behind this focus?
The employment law?
Or anything you just shared?
Yeah. So I am I try to kind of walk my walk, right? And so I try to live my values, and I want us to live in an equitable world and an equitable society. And so to the extent that we have discrimination, harassment, or unfair treatment, or homophobia, or anti-Semitism, or any form of hate in society, that will surely trickle into the workplace, right? And
Right.
so I have, I can't take on all the issues in the world. I can't take on all of, the alleged bad actors, but I can protect vulnerable people in their place of employment and help them assert their rights. And so for me, it was a marriage between my advocacy work and my values, and so it was a good fit. And so that's how I fell in love with employment law.
Nice. So, being in the courtroom and representing people, you have to do a lot of public speaking. Were you always naturally gifted or comfortable with public speaking? And what helped you get to the level that you are at today?
Absolutely not. It does not come naturally. I get nervous before every hearing, before every oral argument, or or any public speaking. I'm always nervous about it. It doesn't come naturally to me.
Really?
Not at all. And and I think that, I'm still, finding my voice and the messages I want to convey and the kind of advocate I want to be for my clients. And so, it's about, for me, overcoming those fears and fighting for something that I truly believe in, and, and moving past and through those difficult emotions of fear and vulnerability. and shame to do something that I truly care about and advocate on behalf of people who I truly believe have been wronged. And practice, a lot of practice.
So you really get nervous when you get up before the judge and you're arguing, and really? Oh
Every,
my,
every
oh,
there has never been a time where I can think no matter how prepared I am, no matter how confident I am in my position, in my argument, I am terrified every time I open my mouth that I'm going to go mute and have nothing to say and be thrown off and the words will not come to my mind. So every time, every single time.
so I have a question. I know in courtroom proceedings, sometimes, I mean, I've been not really on a jury, but I've gotten off juries, but sometimes is it better to be kind of the authentic person, or does the theatrical attorney we see on TV, I mean, is it good to be very theatrical in a courtroom, or does a judge want you just to give them the facts?
So it depends. I think if you are like in a trial, you're appealing to a jury, it's different motivations. But if you're just with the judge wants the facts. Like the judge will most likely already know the law. Sometimes they will ask you for further briefing where you have to explain the law to the judge. But for the most part, they're like, give me the facts. Give me the justification for ruling in your favor, whether you're for something or against something. And so yeah, so it's much more matter of fact. But when you're appealing to like a jury or like the emotional values or emotional, like emotionally, right? Then yeah, I think being authentic is probably more effective because I like to give people, the benefit of the doubt that they can see through some flashy, person who is just really like a smooth talker.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes those people, that is their authentic selves. And so I know a
Right.
lot of really great trial lawyers who tried like hundreds of cases, and I'm just like in awe of them. But the reason they're so successful is because typically they are being authentic. So yeah, I think authenticity goes a long way in every area of your life. I think people can feel it, people admire, people respect it. And so why would you let that stop when you are, probably at your most vulnerable in front of, 12 strangers and trying to, plead your case?
Okay, so speaking about vulnerability, do you have a power suit or a certain color you wear that you feel more powerful in? I mean, they say red, but I guess, I don't know. Do you have a color?
I do love red, but for me, that's just too flashy. And so like going back to the confidence question, I sometimes feel like I just want to sink into the background. I don't want to be on display. And so I feel like when I wear like bright colors, I'm more on display. So for me, I do have like my face. So I typically, I only wear dresses really ever. And
Mm-hmm.
so I usually wear like a business dress and then like a blazer to court. And so I do have a dress that I just prefer. And I like it because it just fits me really well. I don't have to worry about, pulling or tugging. And so it hits right on my legs so that I don't worry about it like, being too long or too short. And you don't have to worry. And you let it leave your mind. Like, okay, listen, I like this dress. It's a nice dress. I look nice. And, I don't have to worry about it again. And so that coupled with my white power blazer, send me to court.
Okay,
I got something to say.
well, I want to go back to social justice and advocating for the rights of the less fortunate. Can you talk more about workplace issues like equal pay, discrimination issues, and the current state we're in today? What's happening out there?
So just so you know, you're living in California and our laws are ever changing. And so for employers particularly, I know that, they pay a lot of money to, be advised on the laws as they're being rolled out. I am also a member of like a lobbying group. And so I lobby in Sacramento for employment laws and changes to workplace protections for employees. And so, like I said, like, I think I'm really proud of the laws we have on the books, particularly around sexual harassment. So, with the whole Me Too movement and this elevated awareness of the issues related to statute of limitations and people not being able to bring their cases because they happened too long ago. So we were able to extend statute of limitations. It used to be 1 year to file your claim with the Department of Fair Employment and Housing. And then you have, a year to file your case in law in court. And so now you have 3 years to file your complaint with the DFEH. And so it doesn't revive new cases or new claims or old claims, the ones that have already lapsed, but you do get, if something happens to you today, you have 3 years to bring it forward. That was one, I thought that was one necessary change to the law. When it comes to equal pay, those cases can be hard to prove unless you have direct evidence or you have, a brave, administrator or a colleague who's willing to say, that there are pay discrepancies, or in order to know that there's an issue in the first place. But I do think it is safe to say that if an employer will tolerate harassment or discrimination in the workplace, particularly against women or people of color, that they're probably not paying them equally because the conduct demonstrates their value, right?
Exactly.
So I typically, when I do bring a case for for a woman for sexual harassment, almost every time I will add in a allegation of equal pay violation to get discovery on those issues, so that we can see if there is a problem, if there's grounds for it, if there's reason to believe that she was also not being paid properly, then you want to tag that on and then look into it further.
Awesome. So I went to your great website and I actually watched you speaking. You were the keynote speaker for commencement ceremonies. I believe it was 2018.
2016.
Oh, 2016. Sorry, 2016. And you had shared in your keynote speech to the students graduating that you had interned for Jim Costa, and how important, I want to know how important should students look at interning and how that opened up doors for you?
So I will say this, I don't think it necessarily opened up doors for me, but I do think that it gave me really excellent foundational, professional skills. That was my first, experience working in an office. And I did it actually through a class through FCC. And so I don't know if you still have it, but you take a class and you get credit for having an internship. You have to do a certain number of hours each week. I forget how many hours it was, but I ended up doing way more, and then I ended up really loving it, so I stayed on a little longer. But I got college credit for it, and I also had to go to class once a week, and we all shared our experiences with our internships, and it was so incredible. I really look back on that particular experience in that internship, coupled with the class, as a really positive experience in my life. So I don't know if it opened any doors, but it definitely helped me build my resume, and it gave me a lot to talk about on interviews when I did go in and look for jobs. And then that led to another job, and then, and so on and so forth. I do recommend internships. I do. I think everybody should be paid if possible.
Right.
But I am also, I'm fine with, if you get college credit or something else, to do, or work for a nonprofit, to volunteer and do it like a volunteer internship. So just so that, you can kind of get your feet wet.
Exactly.
Understand how office environments work. And yeah, but I want to also go back really quick to something you said about my website. I want to give you a little, I could get a little shout out to a mutual friend of ours. So Kate Blanco actually really helped with my website.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she is so incredible. She's still one of my best friends, and she's doing excellent. She is, and so I wanted to shout out because she helped me so much with my website. And
oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you. So shout out to Kate. Hi, Kate.
Oh my gosh, I need to connect with Kate. So I know your time at FCC seems like miles away from where you are now, but how did FCC prepare you and lay the foundation for your journey to where you are now?
What's really weird is like I don't. It doesn't seem that far away to me. Like
Uh-huh.
I graduated from FCC in 2006, which I guess oh my God, 14 years, Miley.
Yeah, I
Oh my
know.
God. So like I said, like like from my background, like I didn't go to school. I wasn't allowed to go to school, and so Fresno City College was my first introduction really to like formal in-class instruction and education. And without FCC, with in all honesty, in all sincerity, I don't know if I would be here today in this position I am in my life because it was so critical to building that foundation for me. Like I felt like I went to UCLA so prepared for that instruction, so ready and so open to receiving that high value education because the foundation was laid. And
Mm-hmm.
I still consider Dr. James Joseph and Paul Gilmore and Dee Miracle like it was just extraordinary human beings, extraordinary educators, so supportive of their students.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously I only know the path that I've taken. I only know the experiences that I've had. And I don't know what an alternate universe would look like, but I am so grateful for the education and the experiences and opportunities that I had at Fresno City. Like, so grateful.
Wow, that is so awesome to hear. I mean, I do hear that from a lot of our alumni, so I'm glad Fresno City College does a great job. I also saw on the website that you're teaching employment law at Santa Barbara and Ventura colleges.
Colleges of Law. Yeah.
Yes.
This is my first time teaching. It was so incredible. So it was over the summer.
Okay.
I did call Kate update my website. But so I did teach it. But it was really cool. It was really cool. So I had just under 30 students. I think I had 28 or 29 students. And yeah, we did it all on Zoom. It was kind of wild. I love like the interpersonal like energy and being
Uh-huh.
in person, and I love in class. I love receiving in class instruction, so I was hoping to have that experience as well. But yeah, no, it was a really cool experience. I loved it. I like my students. I learned a lot about being a grader to being a teacher and how to
Uh-huh.
communicate the information. And I'll tell you this, talking about my public speaking, having to speak for like 2.5 hours straight, like that will help you build that confidence. And so that definitely contributed, I think, to me working on my public speaking and trying to effectively communicate information.
Okay, so I've got to ask you, we're in a pandemic and everything's kind of virtual. How has it affected your business and everything else you're doing?
What do you mean we're in a pandemic? I haven't heard anything about this. So I'll tell you this. It really hasn't affected my business.
That's great
I
to hear.
I think with with employment law, it's we always talk about job security, right? Because you're dealing with human beings and the human element of people communicating with people and having issues and disagreements with other people. And so so for me, like, there was actually an uptick in business and calls because people wanted to know if how they were being treated at work was, even during the pandemic, was right. But yeah, people do really strange things, Miley. People do really
Mm.
strange things, and in the workplace, and it's so unfortunate, when you become more comfortable with other people, and you let your guard down, and then they don't always do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm very fortunate. It has not affected my business.
That's great.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's I have been practicing gratitude. That's like my kind of spiritual practice right now. It's just sitting back and practicing a lot of gratitude because there's so much going on in the world right now. And it's so heavy, right? And
Right.
it's so dark. And so just to know that you are okay, your family is okay, your loved ones and your friends are okay, for me is just so, it just gives me so much to be grateful for.
Well, that was actually my next question. With everything going on, what is your self-care? I mean, what self-care do you follow besides, of course, everyday reflection, gratitude? Do you work out? Do you have hobbies? I mean, I know you're busy working, but how else you've got a lot going on. So how do you like de-stress?
I, I'm a hiker.
Oh,
I love hiking. Central Valley, Yosemite and Sequoia, our backyard. I actually did a Yosemite hiking trip like years ago with some FCC folks. I hike. And I live in Ventura County, and so we're just so blessed for this, our outdoor space. We're right on the ocean, and so I spend a lot of time outdoors as much as I possibly can. And let me see. Oh, I also bike. So I love my little bike. And like, again, we live around the coast. And so we have this incredible hiking trail that's like right off the sides, like a separate, biking trail. And
mm-hmm.
you can hike, you can bike for miles just along the coast. It's just beautiful.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that sounds great. That
Mhm.
sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, Rabiah, you're a dedicated professional to the underserved, and your life is so full. What is next for Rabiah Rahman?
I don't know, Miley. I think I have no idea, and I'm excited about it. I when I was younger, I made 5-year, 10-year plans, and then I will feel so restricted to stick to those plans. But I still set goals. Don't get me wrong, but I'm open. I'm open to new experiences and different perspectives, different ideas, things that I just would never have imagined. And so
Mm-hmm.
I do have goals that I hope to achieve, but for now, I'm open. I'm excited. I think that so far, in this journey that I've taken, it's been a roller coaster ride, and it's been high highs and low lows. But through it all, I think I have been appreciative of the things that I've learned through the
Mm-hmm.
process, and I think it's about the journey. And so yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, so long story short, I don't know. I'm gonna keep growing my practice. I'm gonna keep, being committed to the community and
Mm-hmm.
service in any way that I can, and I'm gonna keep showing up for social justice and equity and access, and we'll see, where it takes me.
Well, Rabiah, I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
Our time is about up here with Ram 30. Is there anything else you want to share with students? Any last words?
no, just it's exciting, I think one thing if I look back on my experience in college was that I wish I would have appreciated it more then at the time. I mean, I think I did, because I was so excited about starting school. But I look back and I wish I would have been more okay with the present and stop being so consumed and concerned about the future. Because you don't know what's going to take you. And I've had experiences that I never could have even imagined for myself. And so enjoy the present, enjoy the educational experience, and take it in and breathe, and don't be too hard on yourself. There will be setbacks, there will be minor hiccups, but breathe, move through it, and continue to progress.
Great words of wisdom, Rabiah Rahman. Thank you so much for being my last guest. Great to see you. You take care. And thank you, everybody, for watching Ram 30. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.